Good morning, citizens. Welcome, welcome. We have a very spicy episode for you guys today. As the description says, we have a bombshell from BeeBetter. Raven, who I follow over on TikTok, posted a video of some stuff that BeeBetter has said as to why they stopped reporting on the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds situation. So that's some piping hot tea. We also have depositions available. Thanks to docketupdates.com. I'm going to show you how you can access those depositions for easy reads, where you don't have to go through all the exhibits and figure out which ones are sealed and unsealed and what's going on there. So we're going to get into the deposition of it all. That might help explain what BeeBetter is talking about, because the bombshell is cryptic. It is not a full bombshell where you're like, okay, I totally get what this is. So we're going to get into what the depositions may hint at that it could be. We're also going to get into the Rule 55 exhibit stuff, where basically it was a document that Blake's people are saying that it's proof that there was a smear campaign and all this stuff. It's got all the articles that they're claiming were a part of the smear campaign. So we have some of your favorite creators breaking that down as to um, why people slew that out, and it's not true that this proves that it's a smear campaign. People went through each article one by one. Then we're also going to do the motion for sanctions that Ryan Reynolds decided to post or file on Friday. Right after, the MSJ and all that stuff happens, then we get this docket drop from Ryan Reynolds. He includes some of the depositions that are redacted from Jen Abel, Steve Sarowitz, that supposedly prove that sanctions are needed. So we're going to get into what creators are saying about that. Another little tidbit from a little girl attorney explaining the retaliation stuff on the MSJ and what to look forward to in the MJOP responses. So yeah, we're going to get into what's next, which deadlines are coming up here by Wednesday, in some of the other cases and everything. So yeah, we have a great show for you guys today. Good morning, Adria. How are you? We have Vamps here as well. Gigi, good morning. At the beach, good morning. We have Lara. We have Laura, our mod here. Thank you so much, Laura, for everything. Coming on early in the morning. Please hit the like and subscribe. She is reminding you guys, if you have not hit that like button, go ahead and hit the like. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And if you have not become a member yet, for $2.99, you can become a member. You get one free super chat a month. So you could get a super chat today for $2.99. And then you also get to support the channel by supporting the StreamYard fees and my daily gas station coffee run. So I appreciate that so much. We have 11 members now and jumping. My goal is to get to 20 members by the end of the year. So hopefully we can get that going. And then we have our other mod, DFJ. Thank you so much, DFJ, for coming on this morning. I appreciate the mods a lot. So Joe, and there's Joe, who is a member. You see he's got a little badge next to his name. And then I can see the comments more from members. When you guys comment on the sides, I can catch y'all's comments a little bit more with that little badge, and your name comes out different. So it says, isn't there a cap on sanctions a party can make? I don't know exactly. That'd be a good question for some of the lawyers. I might put that in some of their videos. Not actually Golden and Little Girl Attorney, but that is a great question, Joe, because they are on their 8th or 9th sanctions motions, I believe. Wait, no, I believe this might be the 10th, because I think we were already at 9. But yeah, that'll be a good question that we can ask them to see if, eventually they'll get capped. It doesn't seem like they are getting capped, but I did hear from some of the lawyers that 11th says Roses. Wow. Okay. So the 11th. You lose track easily, but I did hear some of the lawyers say that this could, not be very well taken by Judge Liman, considering he hasn't ruled on any of the other ones. and, you know, it doesn't look good for him. So we're gonna hear from some of the lawyers and what they have to say on the sanctions, and I haven't yet seen someone say this is a smart move. Um, I wonder if it's oh, okay, that's something else. Joe says, "Holy cow, 11." Yeah, I know, right? So we're gonna wait for a couple more people here coming in. Hey, Deborah, how are you this morning? Arizona, where are y'all watching from? We're gonna wait for a couple more people to come in here, and then we're gonna get started with BeeBetter's um, bombshell video that was posted by Raven. And yeah, let's see who else is over here in the chat. I like to acknowledge the chat in the beginning because then once I start reading and going, it's hard for me. Oh, Transylvania, Romania. Love vamps from Transylvania. And Danag 1808, also Romania. So two from Romania. Love that. Unpopular over there. So shout out to Romania, Louisiana. Brittany's hometown. Love it. Tiffany, who's also a member, says, "Good morning, beautiful people." The Blake stands all think it's the best legal move Blake and Ryan ever made. Oh, really? I'm not on that side of like TikTok or X, so I don't get to hear what the Blake stands are saying. So are they saying? And it's funny because it ends with lawsuits used to be pretty even with Blake people and Baldoni people. And for a while there was a lot more Blake people, like when they did the transfer of it, and it ends with lawsuits over on Reddit. Um, and yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Blake stuff over on It Ends with Lawsuits lately. So they're saying that it is a good legal move. Victoria, good morning from Germany. And then we have Sharona from South Africa. Wow. All over the world. So cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into it, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and play the video. So this is from Raven this morning. I woke up to this. And it is a little long. I'll try and pause it when it gets to the juicy part so we can discuss. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share this tab. And it's a little dark. It seems like she just woke up and she posted it. So we're going to go ahead and play it here.
I was going to have a good night's rest. And of course, I fall asleep and wake up to do just a little bit of scrolling to fall asleep again. And stumble on this.
And people kind of looked to me as a source of information to break down what the hell was happening. And because of that, people reached out to me with sensitive information. People told me things off the record and sort of treated me as an investigative journalist, even though I am technically not a journalist. That is not my career, nor is that what I went to school for. But for whatever reason, people trusted me, and I got a lot of context on things that I wish with my whole body I could have shared with you guys. And I just wasn't able to, because that's the exchange of information. Like when someone's sharing information with you that's off the record, it's off the record. So basically, throughout that process, I spoke to people who worked on set, many people who worked on the set of this movie. I spoke to the inner friends and family of both parties in the lawsuit. I spoke to.
So that's interesting. Inner friends and family of both parties. So everyone's trying to do damage control. And I think it's just so funny that they're reaching out to, like, you know, TikTok content creators. It reminds me of the Jenna Redfield stuff where she said, you know, like, I have this dark information about Baldoni and all that stuff. And people were going to her and she was trying to take it to journalist, which ends up being the end game here for BeeBetter. He's trying to get it to someone who can, this information that he has, uh, to someone that can vet the information better and all that stuff. But I find it interesting there. I wanted to pause that both sides were trying to reach out to just, you know, and BeeBetter is a big content creator. He was one of the biggest ones in the very beginning to report on this. So, you know, they were both trying to, I guess, make their cases. So I'm going to continue.
To people that are in the lawsuit. In that process, that was incredibly dark. Whatever you guys are thinking, multiply it by 1,000. Very, very disturbing information. When I first learned this information, and it is regarding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, I immediately thought there is no way in hell that this is true. Because if it were true, not only would it be incredibly, incredibly career-ending for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, but deeper than that, it's illegal. The information is completely illegal. So let's just leave it at that. So I did what I would normally do in this situation. I spoke to a few select people that I trust and shared them this information while still protecting the source of the information, because that's very sensitive, and to bring this information to light would require me to expose where I got it from. And I know I'm being very vague right now, but that's intentional. And I hope eventually I can speak in just more directly with you. And I think anybody that is defending them is so misaligned in their ability to decipher who is good and who is evil in this world, because it's so incredibly obvious. Like, this Hollywood elite, these Taylor Swifts, Selena Gomez, Blake Lively people are just not our friends. It ended up what I believe to be true. So the reason why I'm making this video now is in the hopes that I can connect with somebody who is an actual journalist who can guide me on the best way to vet this information, because the last thing that I'm going to do is say something that I'm not 110% sure, beyond a shadow of doubt, is 100% real. Maybe part of it is real, and even if there's a minor thing that I need to correct, I need to get my ducks in a row and understand exactly what is true and what is not. And then also, I need to share it with somebody who can eventually, share the information with the public with the buffer of the legal protections that exist in a mainstream media outlet. Something like the fair report privilege. Like I said, I'm not a journalist. I'm not comfortable being the one to break the story. I don't care to be the one to break the story at all. It's completely disgusting. It's just something that I stumbled upon and sort of morally feels like needs to be shared. But like I said, it needs to be done very sensitively. And I just feel uncomfortable because I have had conversations with journalists who then later ended up being basically paid for by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And if you need...
So I'm going to stop right there. So that's another interesting tidbit where I was like, wait, what? Basically paid for by Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, wow. So obviously the PR wars here are real. This is someone who's saying that they, to the best of their knowledge, they can't even trust journalists.
Any evidence for this? They have spent so much money infiltrating a lot of these large media outlets to propagandize the story. And it's incredible because if you read the articles, they're completely editing reality as if Blake Lively's won her lawsuit and doing a round of victory because Blake Lively's won. Like, they are completely gaslighting the public, and it's incredible to watch. So I just don't trust anybody in mainstream media. And if there's just somebody who has either a legal connection or a journalistic connection with somebody who I can share this information with, who actually does investigative journalism for a living, and help me piece this together, because I just don't know what to do with this. And TikTok has been a place that I've been able to connect with incredible people that are well connected.
So my thoughts are, get Brian Friedman on the phone. 1. 2, why would you say this publicly in New York City within reach of these guys, if this is as egregious as you claim? And also, reach out to the FBI. Reach out to the FBI, because I don't think this is even something that a journalist should be trusted with. So, just my thoughts.
So I am concurring with I concur with Notorious Raven. This is her account at Notorious Raven over on TikTok. But yeah, so the FBI seems to be like the best to go through something, especially if it's illegal. You don't want to go the Megan Toohey. We had a comment here. Where is it? Someone said, I heard Megan Toohey will bury anyone. That is hilarious. He needs to speak to Andy in Popcorn Planet. I mean, it might be over all of these people's purview, because you don't realize, the legalities. I mean, but Andy may already have a lawyer on deck that can handle stuff like this. So you're right, it could be Andy. Megyn Kelly was tagged in some of this stuff. Yes. It says, good luck getting someone at the FBI on the phone. Well, maybe if we tag at Cash Patel on this, I don't know. That's what I was thinking. Tagging Cash Patel or tagging, someone. Um, what it could be. Apparently, they're saying it's something illegal. I found a little tidbit in the depositions that could be what it is, but he's saying it's whatever we're thinking times 1,000. So I doubt it's anything that we can even fathom or think or guess. Yes, he needs to go to a lawyer, says Holly, level 7. No, he needs to go to a lawyer. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, if it's that bad, and she's like, why would you post this if he lives in New York? And remember, it's mafia style. So that's why I'm like, could it be something to do with the mafia style stuff? And obviously I have my little banner, allegedly. This is for entertainment purposes, but um could it have something to do with that? Remember, she always said mafia style, and that's, illegal. Some people were speculating in the comments that it's like Diddy adjacent type stuff. Um, so I don't know. Joe said a lawyer would tell him to shut up. Yeah, so I don't know if this is something that he's putting out there. One of my theories is that he may be putting this out there to protect himself. Thank you so much, Glow, for the 4.99. Considering Megan Kelly is a child apologist, I would not contact her. Maybe Nancy Grace. I don't know that tale. Glow of Megan Kelly. Oh, because of the recent. Okay, I may know that tale. Um, the recent Epstein stuff where she claims that 15-year-olds is not pedophilia. But I think I don't know what has been going on with that. Does she retract that or no? Does she stand 10 toes deep? I don't follow politics and stuff like that. But I did catch a glimpse because Colonel does the politics stuff with Ralph reports over there. So yeah, a lot of people were saying CO, but I don't think that Be Better agrees with like CO's politics and stuff. So I don't know how that would work. But it's interesting that they went directly to Be Better and that this source didn't go to the FBI or didn't go to and Laura, our beautiful mod, says definitely a lawyer and then the FBI. And I agree with that. And he had a lawyer in the beginning, so he just stopped talking about it altogether because he's like, this just got too dark. And that's what happened to me in the David case. I did do an episode last night on it because SF Investigates, the private investigator, brought out a couple tidbits. But the reason why I stopped talking about the David for a little while was because I went down a rabbit hole with Interscope and its TikTok artists, and it just got way too dark for me. And then as well as the Rebel versus Ghost. Remember, you guys, I was going to do a huge series. Bizio, who's not here this morning, shout out to Bizio. Miriam, she gave some for the Rebel versus Ghost fund because I was getting all the paperwork and everything. And then the more I read, the darker it went. And so I just didn't feel comfortable reporting on it. And I know Ashley Brianna Eve did report on it, and her channel kind of took a hit. So some crazy stuff, y'all, crazy stuff. We're going to move into what I think it might be referring to. But first, docketupdates.com. You guys know we always start the show with docketupdates.com. This is going to be your go-to for anything. It ends with us lawsuits. Like I said, it has the latest news, calendar of what's going to be happening, all the different cases, the 17-point rider list, all the key players, music playlists, as well as the New York Times review and comparison of when the article dropped and all that stuff. We also have a page for all of the disclosures. And most recently, that just got added last night is the deposition. So that's where we're going to go to see Sarah Witt's deposition of what I think could be something that might tie into the Be Better stuff. And then also look how cool that you guys can watch the latest videos that got dropped from the MSJ here. So beautiful website. So we're going to go into depositions and look how pretty this is. It's got everyone's depositions, and I love how it's like not available for Van Zenning, but here to keep this on everyone's mind. Won't PPL's witness or aren't, it doesn't have one. But here you have the ones that are available. It says Leslie Sloan not available yet. We don't know. But here are all the ones that are available and all the documents of their depositions. So you can go directly here and you don't have to jump around into different exhibits. So we're going to go into Steve Sarowitz's deposition. And it's 66 pages long. But I am going to go directly to this page here where he says, in addition to the personal death threats, in addition to the death threats and kidnapping threats and arson against my family, the foundation also received a threat as a direct result of this litigation because of the actions taken by the people within this litigation, which were purposely leveled against me and my family. As a direct result, that anti-Semitic threats against, oh, so then the question, I believe it's Gottlieb that's questioning him. Yeah. He says, as a direct result, that anti-Semitic threats against you and the Wayfarer Foundation, you said, I think you just testified that these are direct results of actions taken by people in this litigation. So and then she's like, objection. Garofalo tries to object, and he says yes. So he goes 10 toes deep and doubles down and says yes, because basically Gottlieb is like, am I hearing this straight? You're implicating people in this case that did it? Because as far as we know publicly, right, it's this guy who just went and did it, which DFJ was trying to get the paperwork behind that, but we needed somebody who lived in Chicago to go pick it up. So if anybody here in the chat is from Chicago or lives near Chicago that can help us figure out what's going on with this case, I sleuthed it out, and I just, whenever you go to find inmate or find information on the inmate, it just shows that he's still an inmate in the county jail or whatever. And it just shows his, booking number and his charges. So it doesn't show that he bonded out or anything like that. So I don't know what's going on with that case of who did that arson attempt. But here he says yes. And Gottlieb says, by which people? And he says, I don't know who authorized it, but I know it was done by someone on the other side. Okay, hold on. Let me take off the pinned comment. Hold on one second. Okay, so you guys can read that. Let me zoom in. I always forget to take off the comment. Okay, hold on. Here we go. So here he says, by which people? I don't know who authorized it, but I know it was done by someone on the other side. What was done by someone on the other side? And then it just cuts off. But it's interesting because BeeBetter alludes to something dark and something illegal. And so whenever I heard that, I thought back to this part of the deposition where he says, I don't know who authorized it, but I know it was done by someone on the other side. And of course, we know the whole mafia style stuff. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's something else. Let's see. Let's see. I missed what's happening. I'll have to rewatch from the beginning. Okay, Wrathful. Do 2 times speeds and you can catch up. It says, with what they did to that photographer, I believe they're capable of anything. And for some reason, I don't know what happened to my media assets, why the comments are so large, y'all. Let me see. Because I know there's a setting where the comments can be smaller. Is it this one? Let me change the color back to my red. But I think that's the one where the comments are smaller. Let me look. Because they be taking up the whole screen. Yeah, so this is a little bit better. They're a little bit smaller here. Oh, and that's about Megyn Kelly stuff. Okay, so that's the whole tea on the BeeBetter stuff, y'all. I don't know, like I said, what exactly he was alluding to, but it seems like, it's something dark, and like we don't know. That's the closest I could get to trying to explain it. I don't know if we'll ever get answers if he'll make another video, but he really did go ghost after this. And there's a lot of other creators, so I'm wondering, did people reach out to them with the same information and they're just like, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, it's too dark? I wonder if that's what happened, because there was a lot of big creators that fell off. I know Melanie King was one, but her mother passed away. But then there was Ari Jacobs, and I know she was doing her startup, so I thought, maybe that's why. But I mean, you never know. There's, like I said, the people who started it who are still here. There's very few of us still reporting on it. So we're gonna get into the sanctions, the Rule 11 sanctions, with our very own DFJ, who says Lively files for leave to supplement her Rule 11 sanctions from May, and she says, "Girl, don't you got an MSJ response to work on?" Like, seriously, they just dropped this MSJ, and instead of working on her response, here they are filing a motions for sanctions. Lively says the depositions help prove her claims that Wayfarer's FAC was baseless. So if you look at the motion, it cites the deposition of Mr. Sarowitz, admitted that he blank, 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 blank. Defendant Jennifer Abel similarly testified that blank, 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 blank. And then over here, he says at his deposition, Mr. Sarowitz did blank, 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 blank. When asked whether he had any factual basis for his extortion claims, Mr. Sarowitz said, so I don't know if this is referring to that part of the deposition that I put up where he's basically saying that it was them who put out the hit. But then it says the same is true for Miss Abel, who could not, and then blank, it's redacted. So he's saying that there's evidence in the depositions that make the sanctions verifiable. And it's so funny because I love this meme. You made it. Welcome to the psych ward. Because it is insane, and that's what most lawyers were saying, that it was insane. So I'm going to go ahead and lead with Katie Pope's thoughts on this. It's at Katie Pope. Let me see, what is her at Katie Rose Pope over on TikTok. She's also on YouTube. So if you guys want to give her a follow, I love her insights. We're going to go ahead and play her insights on this. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I not?
Certain claims against the Lively parties that were frivolous and legally unreasonable, factually without foundation, and brought by improper purpose. In deposition by Steve Sarowitz, he admitted it's all blacked out. It says he further testified, and then it goes on, Jen Abel testified, also redacted. Her testimony illustrates precisely why sanctions against plaintiff's counsel are appropriate. Oh, really? I feel like this is PR. After everything the Baldoni side dropped yesterday, and there's a lot more redacted stuff from Sarowitz's deposition. I wish we could read the redactions. But I'm feeling like this is PR. Like Lively.
So she's saying that it's PR. And then we also have, oh, thank you so much, Miriam. She just, hold on, let me find it because I can't pull it up. Miriam, where is I can't pull it up. Let me see. Did you give me I'm trying to find the comment. Miriam just dropped a $10 super chat. She says, for the Anything Goes Fund. Thank you. But I can't find the comment to put it up. So I'm trying to find it. It might have been more up here. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much, Miriam. Anything Goes Fund. Because I always feel bad because Miriam donated to the Rebel versus Ghost because everyone was so sat on that case and they're like, are you going to report on it? And I did like 1-minute videos of what like the case entailed. So it was a 10-part series and they were 1 minute each. And it went into the Amanda Ghost stuff and, all the stuff that it entailed. And then I backed out at the last minute because I have that saying, I don't want no smoke. So, yeah, thank you so much, Miriam, for the Anything Goes Fund now. We call it the Coffee Run Fund too, the gas station coffee. But it does support the channel through the StreamYard. So that's the software that we use to be able to transition and show everything. So I do appreciate the super chats and the super thanks after for Replay Crew that leaves super thanks in the comments. So I do appreciate that. So yeah, let's move on to BB Wells and what she had to say about the sanctions, because this is another attorney that I do actually love over on TikTok. It's BB Well actually. And I wish I would have featured her on the lawyer show because I really, really love her. But for some reason, I don't think that she immediately made content on the MSJ right after. So it wasn't available to me yet. But go check her out, BB Well actually on TikTok. She's amazing and has great insights. And I love how she compares it to the Hove, which I don't say his name because I don't want no smoke, but Hov and Diddy stuff. She does a great comparison here, so I'm going to play it.
That this happens. It happened in the case against P. Diddy and Jay-Z, against that Jane Doe plaintiff, where Jay-Z just didn't like that she was making those allegations against her. And what does he do? He files Rule 11 sanctions. And different facts, different circumstances. Certainly, Blake Lively has her interpretation of California's 47.1 to bolster her argument in a way that Jay-Z did not. However, I think my feelings remain the same. Rule 11 should be used, and I say this as someone who has worked on the right hand of a federal district court judge, more than one federal district court judge. Rule 11 should be used sparingly and used for egregious abuses of power, egregious cases of litigation abuse, times when an attorney signed something and filed something in court, and they had absolutely no business doing that. And like a dispute over whether 47.1 allows for a defamation case against a victim of workplace sexual harassment is not grounds for Rule 11 sanctions. It just isn't. It's nuts. And I don't like this because, to me, it reads as powerful people attempting to chill the legitimate use of the courts as a remedy for justice for people who are less powerful. Again, we've got two celebrities suing each other. So in this case, meh. In the Diddy Jay-Z case, way more upset. But here's the thing. Even though federal district courts do not create precedent and they can't create any decision that's binding on another federal district court, these sorts of decisions do have cascading or downstream impacts. And I do worry about a world where rich and powerful people use and abuse Rule 11 against the less powerful. And I do not like that it was used here. I do not think Blake Lively needed to file this additional paperwork on the docket. I just do not. I'll sit with it and I'll see if I can come up with additional reasons. Right now, sort of to me reads like she's frustrated with what might be legitimate issues and concerns with the Wayfarer side. I just don't think that I respect and agree with the move. I'll keep thinking about it and I'll post more if I have more to say.
So, like, as you can see, most people are not very happy with it. We have Little Girl Attorney breaking it down. Hers is a longer video as well, but we're just going to do the quick breakdown here in the timestamps. So if you guys want to watch the full video, the timestamps don't always capture everything that is said. So I always encourage you guys, go watch the real video, support the content creators. I'm just playing it here for like the quick Monday morning cooler talk. But please go support your creators. Go like the videos. Anybody that I mentioned, our very own mod DFJ, she has a new YouTube account as well, where she's reporting. You know, go support all your creators. Anybody else I mentioned, Katie Rose, BB Wells, everyone else. And on any show, if I mention anyone, obviously, like I said, this is just kind of like all the recap. I get the very best of the best to show you guys. But please consider going to go support the creators. Leave a comment, say CJ sent me. And, you know, like, subscribe if you do like the content after you know, look around. But these are just some of my favorite creators that I like to share with you guys. And so here's Little Girl Attorney. It says what Rule 11 was about. Back in May, Lively Reynolds filed Rule 11 sanctions claiming that Wayfarer sides had been filing baseless claims. Sanctions equals you wasted our time, so now pay our fees. Now Gottlieb says discovery in another case reveals even worse misconduct, so they want to add it. The letter doesn't request permission. It lays out accusations. So this is the real issue with it. Critical evidence is redacted, so the public sees only that Steve Sarowitz admitted and that Jennifer Abel similarly testified. We don't know what they actually said. If you guys want to go sleuth out the Jen Abel deposition, because I have not. I only sleuthed out the Sarowitz. But here's the Jen Abel deposition. You go to docketupdates.com. And then you just click on the deposition there, and then you can get, it's only 4 pages. So I wonder, but we don't know. This is only what Wayfarer provided. So it might be on another piece of the deposition. Because see, this says page 38. So there must be more pages. But if you guys wanted to sleuth out anything, there's 4 pages here. There might be something in there what she said, but it might be on another page. So it says, the letter claims that testimony proves Wayfarer deserves sanctions. Instead of focusing on opposing Wayfarer's MSJ, they're chasing a side battle. And so that's what DFJ said in her post. Let's go back to her post because she's like, girl, don't you got an MSJ response to work on? So it was similar to what little girl attorney is saying in hers, basically saying you need more focus on the opposition than you are on this little side battle. The earlier case against Lively Reynolds was dismissed because of privilege, not because the claims were retaliatory or fabricated. Using that dismissal to justify sanctions is misleading. It says the Rule 11 motion was always a cheap shot. Motions to dismiss fail every day. That's not a sanctionable action. Losing a motion does not equal violating Rule 11. Free speech and perfect claims. Gottlieb's theory is Lively's counsel should have known the claims weren't perfect. But that logic means no one could ever sue unless they're 100% certain pre-discovery. This chills free speech and access to the courts. It says, why are Lively Reynolds lawyers doing this? Well, LGA thinks this is Gottlieb driven. The questions he asked in depositions suggest a personal vendetta. LGA calls it unprofessional and lacking decorum. Yeah, if you guys look at the depositions, go through all those. I encourage you guys to read the docs, and that's the great part about docket updates. It's like you don't have to get the info from content creators or MSM or anything. You can go to the source yourself and read it, and that way you know, like, okay, yeah, what this content creator was telling me is true. I try to use docket updates as much as I can to give you guys the information. And ever since, it was created, it's been, I call it the New Testament, because we used to call the lawsuit info website that Wayfarer made, we used to call that the Bible, because it had everything in it. It's like everyone always went back to that because those were like, it had the timeline, it had the receipts, it had everything. And so I call that the Old Testament, and then docket updates the New Testament. So I encourage you guys to go look at the depositions and see how bad Gottlieb there's at one point where he says, I'm sorry, that was a bad question. Let's circle back or something. And so you could tell how he just does not do a very good job on him. Attorney on attorneys attacking in this content is a massive ick. Focus on proving your case, not punishing other lawyers. And that is what NAG, I don't have NAGs pulled up here, but one of the things that NAG was saying was that it's not going to be a good look for Liman, especially because he hasn't rolled on any of the other sanctions, and now you're adding this to his plate. And so they might have gotten to a point where this is going to be annoying Liman. So Justice for BJS, at Justice for BJS, I love this from her. Go follow her. She's got a ton of good content. We're going to get through some of her content here. But she says, oh, I see why Vancity Reynolds ran to the docket now. Justin Baldoni's texts detail his traumatic meeting with Blake Lively's angry husband, Ryan Reynolds. And it's funny because he tries to end up spinning that. There was an article that dropped this morning about how Ryan Reynolds just basically gets really angry or switches personalities when it comes to his wife. Like, he can be this nice person that you see, funny person, but then when it comes to his wife, he kind of like flips the script. And so I don't know if that's what they're going to try to say to condone his behaviors, and why, because the MSJ says that Ryan Reynolds berated him for 5 to 6 hours. 5 to 6 hours, y'all, and it's just crazy. And I pulled up Bocce's post. Where is it? Here we go. I pulled up Bocce's post on that because it's insane. So it's a 7-minute video. I do encourage you guys to watch it. It's over on YouTube now. She has a YouTube channel, so go ahead and give her a follow over there at Bocce Go Hawks. But this is just kind of like the summary of it. It says Blake Lively's December 28th message to Justin Baldoni framed the January 4th meeting as a casual production discussion, even suggesting she was happy to have just you. Nothing hinted at a confrontation or the presence of her husband. And she even says, and it's what makes me so sick, and let me see if I can zoom in on it right here. Yo, this is what makes me so sick. I hope you and your family had a nice holiday. You're going to say that when you're about to ambush this man in your penthouse with your made up obviously allegedly for entertainment purposes, but your made up delusions as to what happened, like, I hope you and your family have had a nice holiday, like bringing his family into it. And so then she says, would love to set up a time for a meeting before we start production. We'll be back in town January 4th. Does 3 p.m. work? We'll host it in Tribeca. So he's thinking it's a production meeting. Happy to have just you. Not sure if Jamie will be on set, but he's welcome. We can also have the whole team, blank and blank, if you prefer. So I think this is Todd Black and Angie. Please let me know on all. So this does not say, hey, just want to let you know we're going to have the all hands on deck meeting from the 17-point list that you had signed. Well, at this point, it hadn't even been signed. It got signed the day after, I think, the January 4th meeting. So, but in the 17-point list, it did say there was going to be an all hands meeting before they went back on set. He did not know this. He thought it was a production meeting. So much so that he brought the first assistant director to the meeting because he thought it was going to be a production meeting. So it says the 17-point side agreement also described an all hands production and safety meeting, not an HR style session. Blake Lively's lawsuit later recast the meeting as a forum to address a hostile work environment, but omitted the first assistant director, whose presence is confirmed by Wayfarer and deposition notes. So when they put out their lawsuit or their first complaint, they never said that the first AD was there. Why? Because it goes against the narrative that he thought it was a production meeting. So they never mentioned him as being there. They mentioned Todd and Angie, but they don't mention, only Wayfarer mentions the addition of the first AD. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, Jamie, and producers arrived with production binders and expecting a production planning meeting, while Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds approached it as something entirely different. Justin Baldoni's reaction afterward, feeling unprepared and embarrassed, reflects the shock of an unexpected confrontation. The mismatch between the casual invitation and the true nature of the meeting supports the view that the situation functioned as an ambush. So they ambushed this man. And so now Ryan is trying to do damage control. And who knows, if this BeeBetter story has legs, they might have some real problems on their hands moving forward. Like, if something that now that people are losing trust on MSM, it's crazy. So I'm going to play one last little video from Bocce. Where did it go? Oh wait, was I not showing the right screen? Was I showing the right screen? Yeah, okay, I was. Sorry. Okay, so this is over on her YouTube channel. Like I said, go support her. But I love this little tidbit. I wanted to just quickly play for you guys.
Because they seem to really believe it. And it's like, Justin, this is why she wanted you alone. That's why she didn't want you to necessarily bring Jamie or the rest of the team. This is why she only emailed you. And if you didn't forward it to the team, she would have only had you. Someone she's claiming she is accusing of sexual harassment. She would have only had you in her Tribeca home. Someone she claims sexually harassed her. She would have brought you into her home to have this thing with Ryan. Okay? So I know that Justin, the way he writes, is always going to get in trouble because he's always giving people the benefit of the doubt, the kind of the benefit of the doubt Blake Lively would never have given him.
So yeah, like he basically went into that and got ambushed, and now Ryan's trying to do damage control because the headlines are starting to turn. So I don't know if they just no longer want to get paid. If what BeeBetter says that people were getting paid, maybe now they just don't want to take the money or get paid because stuff is going to start coming out. I don't know, but it's interesting. So we're going to keep going with the Rule 55 stuff. A lot of these people, I'm not going to pull up everything, but Justice for BJS, she has a 3-part little series where she goes into it. She did a lot of work explaining links to Exhibit 55 in the It Ends With Us saga. So this is where she provided all the articles Blake Lively did, saying like this proves the smear campaign. And so here's one article. She says, this is negative media about Baldoni to Jed Wallace. This is also negative media about Baldoni. This is dramatic media regarding the situation on Jed. So all of this stuff, she breaks it down She breaks it down, and each point by point. Here is part 2. Let's look into here. This implies they are spreading comments defending Justin. So it was just proactive people who were just defending Justin, not necessarily spreading anything. And then let's see, there's another one over here. It says comments in real time media that refers to Jed social to suppress negative articles. So they were not trying to plant articles here. They were just suppressing the negative articles on Baldoni, which is normal PR. And Chris, the PR guy over on TikTok, he talks a lot about the normal side of PR and how this is just something that was par for the course. First time they mentioned Jed's actions. So you guys should go over there and check out her work. This one I found interesting was part 3, where she says, comments on Baldoni's positive press and appearance is what they deem as a smear campaign here. He describes his directing style as a constant collaboration for better or worse. This is perfect. And they say that this is proof of a smear campaign right here. So do with that what you will. I know I didn't really look into the Rule 55 stuff because I was just like, BL's full of crap. But, you know, there was some creators that went really deep, compared the articles. I know Bocce did one too that's over on her YouTube. It's a big, long video. I think it's like over 2 hours. But worth looking into if you wanted to have some talking points in regards to the pro-Lively people who are saying, oh, this definitely proves there was a smear campaign. Look, at this one was comments on Baldoni's religion, saying that, you know, remarked that Mr. Baldoni's religion should be taken out from the media coverage and mostly the misogynistic stuff. So that they just wanted it removed from the coverage, that it shouldn't include anything about his religion. And they said that's proof of a smear campaign. Here's another example. It says, Abel gives her opinion about a public TikTok does not imply her team even pushed the video. She just says, and I like that this is now getting some viral attention. Just about her problematic on-set behavior. She just commented like, and again, it's not a smear if this is her own behavior. It was her own problematic behaviors on the set. And before we get into Anita Thinks Out Loud post, we have a really big crowd, bigger than what I normally have in the mornings, you guys. It's 250 people here today. Normally I'm used to 100 or less on the morning shows, but we did have the BeeBetter stuff that I'm sure everybody wanted to hear that tea. If I can't get through all of the comments, so if you do want to drop a comment, you can use a super chat or become a member and get one of your free super chats. I will go through some of these that are way at the bottom, but anything that was said as I was talking before, I can't scroll all the way up. There's tons of comments here. Let's see. Blake has to hate that her ex is friends with Justin Baldoni and shares their Baha'i faith. LOL. Jesse and Max says, and they're referring to Penn, because Penn is Baha'i, and that was her ex on Gossip Girl. And that's what some of the articles were talking about. That, you know, I believe Rainn Wilson is also Baha'i, and over the weekend we didn't get any new articles, like nothing new got posted. I believe that Ryan thought that maybe him dropping the sanctions would pick up media and it would be like, oh, look what they did, but obviously media did not care. There was no articles on that, but most of the articles focused around Rainn Wilson's support of Justin Baldoni. It says Blake Lively only had kids that so that she has worshipers that can't legally leave. Oh my God, that's so funny. Let's see. Tiffany says, Joe, about I'm kind of surprised they didn't single out only Justin to be there so he didn't have any witnesses. Okay, so that is interesting, Tiffany, because apparently they had him write they wanted him to read an apology that was written by Ryan. And so now this is the second time that Wayfarer has said that Ryan has written something for them to say or whatever. A lot of people thought that maybe Ryan wanted to record him doing that apology, so then they had him on record as like admitting to it. So it's a good thing he never admitted to anything, because he was just like, no, the facts are not matching up. I understand this is how you feel. And he's very about like validating feelings, and that's what Bocce's video was about. The fact that he wanted to validate their feelings, but also be like, well, that's not how it happened. And so that was his struggle there, and why he couldn't even like bring the words to say anything on. He couldn't he couldn't even gather himself to like, what do I say? Because at the same time, my Baha'i faith tells me like you need to honor these people's feelings, their emotions. But he was like, I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. And then he kept getting yelled at, and he just would not admit it. And he says that he felt like a little 7-year-old kid. And, you know, it's like when your parent says, like, I know you did this. And you're like, but no, I didn't. So I can understand how he felt. But yes, that's interesting that you point out that if he would have gone alone, I wonder if she just offered like, oh yeah, maybe Jamie can come and maybe so-and-so can come, but that she wasn't really trying to offer that she wanted them, or how much of it was that Blake really just wanted a production meeting and that it was going to be swept under the rug. And then Ryan was like, oh, heck no. And he's the one who intervened and was like, no, this is going to be an ambush meeting. For all we know, Ryan is the one who wrote those 30 points. We still don't have the metadata on those 30 points. The metadata shows that it was created July of this year. So we still don't have the 30-point list that was allegedly talked about. And according to Wayfarer, it was a list of 20 points. And some of those ones that were in the 30-point list, they had never heard before. So I don't know if Ryan, that's just my theory, allegedly for entertainment purposes, if that was the case there. Tiffany says, never apologize for something you didn't do. Exactly. And the fact that he had a handwritten apology already. Joe says, maybe BeeBetter can talk to Perez. I thought about Perez too. But maybe it needs to be more of like an investigative journalist, like someone who can like drop it more formally. I don't know. To me, it seems like it's an FBI issue just from what he says, that it's really 1,000 times darker than when we could think. And I know a lot of people in the comments earlier had posted stuff about MNTN. I never got into the MNTN stuff because I was like, that's outside of my purview. I don't want no smoke because it does get into, so you guys can scroll up and read in the chat what some people had to say about MNTN. I'm not going to put anything up here, but if you guys are interested in that, it was here in the chat earlier. People were talking about that it could possibly be connected to MNTN. But that was, like I said, I don't want no smoke. So I'm not trying to, that's a publicly held company. And yeah, it's crazy over there. So anyways, as we continue to end the show for today, let me see what tabs are left. I appreciate the chat. Make sure that you like and subscribe. I have 200 plus people here. Like I said, more than any morning show. I appreciate the support. And you guys, if you guys can like the stream, if you like what you saw today, and subscribe if you want to keep getting more of the best out there from content creators. We're gonna keep going. I have 3 more tabs left, so we should be good here. It says, Anita thinks out loud. One key question in all of this: why did Blake demand to be in the edit room when she wasn't hired to do so? Why did this request come after her extortionate list of 17 demands? If you think this is a coincidence, it is naive. Why did she slowly ramp up her demands as the movie premiere was releasing? Why did her complaints start when Justin was resisting her edits during the first phase of the production? She was not SH'd. She put her Hollywood power, Sony, her friends, etc., and intimidated the people who were tolerating her entitled ass. She threatened as she needed more, and because she was so effing vile, her karma caught up with her. No one treats others with cruelty and walks away unscathed. In the end, Blake didn't need a smear campaign. Her own words and actions did the job. She single-handedly destroyed her career. Her own mouth was the real Hollywood smear machine that the New York Times had exposed. You effed around and you found out, Blake. Nice effing try. So I love this. This was when the MSJ dropped, and I had wanted to put it on one of my other shows. But yeah, I love that because I'm like, preach, girl. Preach, because that literally summed it all up. And so the final little tabs that we are doing here is the script. The script also dropped. I'm hoping that docket updates can put it on the website. So hopefully that happens. I'm going to message her today and see if that's going to go up this week, if they have any plans to, because I think that would be good for to do a script comparison. So here we have WOACB, who did compared the final cut to confirm kissing scenes were not in the script originally. The scene was filmed around 1:12 or 1:13, meaning that it was within a week of the ambush meeting when Ryan Reynolds berated Justin for a few hours to break him and made him apologize for being creepy. In the video, it's the aftermath of the Atlas Ryle fight. You can see Lively kiss Baldoni not just on the mouth, but multiple times on his face and neck, like 5 or 6 quick kisses. I suspected months ago because this wasn't in the book and possibly not in the script either. I went back to my old comments, and this is what I wrote back then. That was my intuitive reading of the interaction as well. The quick, small kisses felt very improvised, which is normally totally fine on most film sets. But she's now claiming these high standards, so it's fair to hold her to the same standard. I'm curious what the official notes on the script actually says. Anything less than the following feels off. Lily places her hands on Ryle's chest, moves them up his face, touches his cheekbone, kisses him on the lips, kisses his face next 4 to 5 times while hugging him and rubbing his back, touching the tearing face. So this is what it actually ends up saying. Let me see if I can zoom in the bathroom script. It says, Ryle, stop, wait, what the hell did you do to this, Lily? Did you tell him I hurt you? And then it says, no. I saw my eye in your hand and he just, and it says, panting, Ryle shakes his head, fighting back tears. So nowhere here does it have anything about kissing. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you and show the unscripted kisses that she put on.
Lily, what was he doing in the bathroom?
I saw my eye, and I think I saw your hand, and he knows it was an accident, and I told him it was an accident.
Lily.
I don't know him. I mean, we were kids. I don't know him now.
Anyone but him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyone but him. Promise me.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Okay.
Have you never been here before? You have me. You have all of me.
I know.
So if I'm not what you want, you just...
No, I'm fine. Stop.
I love you.
I know.
So there you guys have it. Unscripted kisses. And we also have Miss Bocce Gohawks as well, who went through the script. She's one of the first people that I saw that went through the script. So I think she has another video on the script stuff, but hopefully they can put it up on Docket Updates so you guys can go through the script and see all the changes. But there was also this.
After making such a big deal about Justin Baldoni talking about pornography, why did she make this script change? So let's look at the original. This is the original. Awakens from her bed, entangled in the sheets. Ryle says, "Good morning. You like frittatas?" Lifting up, she finds Ryle in his boxers, in the open kitchen, pouring an egg mixture into a casserole dish and tossing it into the hot oven. Lily says, "Ooh, that sounds amazing." Pop, he opens a nice bottle of champagne and pours 2 glasses, adding a little orange juice. Ryle said, "And a little hair of the dog. I'm still pretty buzzed from last night." Giggling, Lily remains in bed. "Oh my God, I thought you'd never ask." Joining her in bed with the mimosas. He goes, "Cheers." This is what it ended up being. "Good morning. You like frittata?" And she says, "What is happening?" No, I feel like I'm in a porno. What is this?" Laughs. "I did not know you could cook." And Ryle says, "I can't." "Oh, well, good, because I was starting to get a little intimidated." Why did she add that line? Why did she change the whole thing? It was fine the way it was. Riddle me this. Why did Blake Lively make these changes?
So that was another change. That why did she add the porno part? Why was that added in there? And you saw how like it just
From last night. This is adding a little orange.
So you see how well this is what is her name? Christy Hall. You see how well this looks. Like it's so much more like fleshed out, I guess I should say, on what the scene is. And then look how it ends up with just
And
this.
she said,
And a lot of people were saying that Ryan also rewrote scripts for some of other Blake's projects where they found a Glamour interview or some kind of interview. I think it was either Glamour or Vogue, where she says, again, there's so many interviews where she says his fingerprints are all over it and we work on everything together. And she says that he helped her rewrite this script, that she, took a couple liberties on it, but it made it funnier or something. So it's not the first time. And most recently, Reddit just had a post that they think that Age of Adeline might have been taken over because, let me see if I can pull it up. I didn't have it for this show because it was like last minute, but let me see if I can pull it up really quick before we get to the ending of LGA's stuff. Because, yeah, they were saying that Age of Adeline might have been, uh, let me see. Where is it? Because, the guy who made Age of Adeline basically had said, it okay, right here. Sleuths were instilling Age of Adeline. So this is what some of the sleuths were saying. Oh, it's our very own Jesse and Max. So she's here in the chat. They stole Age of Adeline from Steve Golan and they took the movie from Steve just like they did with Justin. Steve sued them and settled discreetly before he died. It says, I noticed the above comment on one of Flaw's videos, so I did a quick Google. Apparently, Oscar-winning producer Steve Golan created and worked on Age of Adeline for 10 years, but was fired without cause when the movie was finally being made. He sued, and it does appear that the suit was settled. He alleges that Lakeshore Entertainment LLC and Doe defendants stole his film, his years of work, his pay, his 20 to 30% of the back end, his connections, and his influence by a clause in the contract that he alleges he never even knew was in there. This is basically all I know. I don't have time for the next few days to look more into it. But it's Lakeshore Entertainment LLC and Lively versus Reynolds. It does look suspiciously similar to what they try to do to Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer. And there's the link. So shout out to Asshole Media. She's over on Instagram and X. I believe she's also on TikTok. So give her a follow. But yes, I love it that she's like in the chat. And where is she? Is she still here? Jesse and Max, are you still here? Yes. Steve Golan versus Lionsgate and Jane Doe is the case. So I might slew that one out and see if that has legs, because that is interesting. If they have done it in the past and everyone is now connecting the pieces. Thank you so much, Glow, for the super chat. No wonder that movie sucks so badly. They may have even done script changes. We don't know. We know that in Rhythm Section, during the hiatus, when she basically broke her wrist because she tried to improvise some kind of scene, and so she cost them money by trying to improvise this scene. I believe it was like a broken wrist or something that she broke during the scene, had to get healed up. And during that hiatus, she was trying to do another version of the movie, but they pushed back. So, yeah, I don't know what ended up happening with that. It seems like they did their own version and did not go with her edit, the edit that she wanted, because it was her and the director versus the two producers. So I believe the producers won out on that. But yeah, it is just so crazy. Copper said more unscripted kisses speaks volumes. Yeah, and that's what he was saying. So now we have that unscripted kiss there, and then now we have the hospital scene as well. And we don't know how much more they're keeping for the M job. I mean, not the M job, the response to the MSJ. Because she gets a chance to reply by December 3rd, and then Wayfarer gets a chance to reply to that. So a lot of people think there's more evidence coming. And then we also haven't unsealed a lot of this stuff. Once that starts to get unsealed, some of these exhibits, they might have some more bombshells. So we're giving y'all the bombshells as they come out, the script being one of them that came out this weekend. And so we're going to end the show with Little Girl Attorney, one of my favorites. And she's basically talking about the retaliation of the MSJ, sorry. It says LGA explains retaliation requires protected activity and adverse employment action. Under Title VII, the action must deter a reasonable person from complaining. Under California law, it must materially affect job terms. So like a demotion, you got removed from the project, there was seating changes, etc. Non-work conduct doesn't count. So Wayfarer's argument says that there's no workplace harm. Even if Lively's list of protections counts as protected activity, nothing in her employment worsened afterward. She wasn't demoted. She wasn't sidelined, underpaid, or mistreated. Wayfarer argues her influence actually increased. Her power expanded, not retaliated against. Lively allegedly said in her complaint that she fixed the set and things were good afterwards. Wayfarer claims they granted all her demands, including the coveted PGA credit. Wayfarer argues this is the opposite of retaliation, and this is what a lot of the lawyers had been saying previous to the MSJ, that it correlation and causation, like there was no way to connect that because her job was already done. Lively's team claims that the alleged online warfare, which occurred months later, was retaliation. But Wayfarer argues that the First Amendment protects their statements. Nothing Wayfarer did was employment related. It didn't affect her job, her promoting. She was still able to go out and promote the movie. And it depends. When did the retaliation, quote unquote, smear campaign start? Because she moves the poll, remember, the goalpost. She moves it from August, which she initially said, right? Then she said it was even ongoing from December ongoing, which that for sure is not retaliation for the workplace stuff. But then she moved it to May of 2023, that's when it started. But then again, they finished the second phase 2 of the film with nothing. Like, she didn't have no complaints of how it went after the fact that they signed the 17-point list. So she has no room to talk about retaliation, because not only did she get the PGA mark afterwards, she got editing rights, she got her face on the poster, so much stuff. So it doesn't add up. Employers can defend themselves. Well-settled law is that employers may publicly defend themselves. The court already held Wayfarer's counterclaim was not an adverse reaction. And that's why I think the McSweeney versus Cohen case also had that, where he states that, they have the legal right to defend themselves. A case with far worse facts, false affair leaked to tabloids, still hasn't had an adverse employment action. Wayfarer argues their conduct falls well below that threshold. There's no evidence Wayfarer spread false information or used bots. Even accepting that the August 9th is the start of the campaign, Lively was actively engaging in her own publicity war. I believe that she started the Jenna Redfield rumors. That's just my belief for entertainment purposes. But I believe that because that was on the 8th, and I'm like, it had to have been some of her people who planted that. Because Jenna was reporting on the fact that, why was Baldoni being left out? And she was kind of more pro Baldoni there. And then the moment that she receives this email, she goes scorched earth against Baldoni and, all that stuff. So, yeah, I believe that she was active around those times. Filing the Van Zandt lawsuit and working with the NYT happened at the same time. This was all outside the workplace. No protected activity and no causation. And people are still trying to find the protected activity. Y'all know that meme with the guy that's looking at the little piece of paper? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because I love this meme. Let me see if I can pull it up, just the image, because that's the video. Okay, so here's the image real quick. Let me pull it up. This is us still looking for the protected activity. Sorry, it's a different X post, but this is us still looking for the protected activity here. Because no one can still be like, which one out of all the things that she said was the protected activity? So anyways, that's what I always think about when I'm trying to look for the protected activity. Wayfarer argues she can't prove she engaged in protected activity under the law. She also can't show that the alleged retaliation was caused by that activity. There is an 8-month gap, so it equals no retaliation. There were no negative consequences for 8 months. Filming resumed, and she said the set was fine. Case law says 3 months is already too long to infer retaliation. So during these 8 months, he was giving into everything. He was like, yes, 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 yes. Remember? So she was getting everything that she wanted, and she wasn't getting retaliated against. That would have been if they would have been like, you can't be in the editing room, you can't be part of promotion, we're going to put you in the basement, that type of stuff. But they put him in the basement, as y'all recall. Wayfarer says they would have hired PR regardless because of the wave of negative press. Lively must prove that the only reason they hired PR was to punish her for a complaint 8 months earlier. Strategic use of limited space. Wayfarer used the MSJ space to attack the specific elements directly. They will save their higher level arguments for the MJOP. So remember, the MJOP response is due. Let's go to docket updates. And let's go to calendar. This is where we get the calendar of events. The next thing is on Wednesday is the deadline for BL to reply to the MJOP. And Wednesday is also going to be when Andy goes back to court for the Popcorn Planet versus Blake Lively. She wants his sources, and he's going to be doing an in-camera review with the judge of those of his privilege logs. So we're going to stay tuned for all that. I may come on Wednesday, or if anything else pops off between now and then. I know I usually don't do. Oh, and I forgot to remove the comment. Sorry, y'all had to go through all that with the comment. I need to remember to remove the comments. If anything pops off, so just stay tuned. Watch my community post for when I go on. I usually post it on X when I go on. If I do go on in the morning, it's at 8:15, or 9:15 EST. Sorry, 9:15 EST, 8:15 CDT. And for you Pacific timers, I'm so sorry it's so early in the morning. Most of y'all are replay crew. But yeah, stay tuned. I might go on, but for sure I will do the Monday morning water cooler recap next Monday. Like and subscribe if you have not yet. And I think I'm going to look at the comments one last time. And I think that's going to be it for us today. Thank you so much. Such a big crowd. I know the BeeBetter Bombshell probably brought a lot of us here because that was major tea. I'm still wondering what it is. If you guys watched all the way till the end, if you guys can comment bombshell on the comments. So I know that you watched it all the way till the end. Also, just leave a comment on what you think it could be, or any other comments that you had on the show. But if you did watch to the end, drop the word bombshell in the chat or in the comments. Sorry. Cecile is just waking up. Good morning from France. We had a great show. We're just wrapping up now, Cecile. Tiffany says, thank you, CJ. And please hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate all the members. If you're not a member yet, like I said, for $2.99, you can support the channel, support the StreamYard. There's also a Cash App link at the bottom on my banner if you choose to go that route. Some people had been asking for that, so that's why I ended up getting one, because I had a lot of DMs where people were asking. And Glow left a little $1.99. Thank you so much for all the super chats, Glow. No wonder that movie sucked. Oh, I already pulled this one up. Age of Adeline. Okay, so I just didn't. It was still up on my queue. And yeah, so I guess that's it for you guys today. I will see you guys around on TikTok. I'll probably go live over there to discuss the bombshell. I'll make sure I post it to my community here so you guys know that I'm live over there. And Bizio says, have a wonderful day, everybody. And Gigi, post bombshells to the comments, not the chat. So when this is over, it helps the algo to get the video out there to other people. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Take care. Oh, and thank you to the mods. Sorry. Thank you to the mods. I forgot to shout them out at the end. Thank you, mods, for modding. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.